Next we have Jaakko Korhonen from ODA. Please welcome Jaakko Korhonen, ODA.
Thanks, Baba. Yeah. So I'm Jaakko Korhonen from ODA Program Office, and I'm actually here for the first time. Happy to represent our service name. The code ODA project still remains as name of the program office, but this is the name of the actual services that we then produce. So we have about 40 care paths or treatment paths that are being piloted in this project. And most of our material, the part that is open, you can find from GitHub/Omahoito. So what do the services do? There's well-being, forms, basically, different kind of user interfaces to display data, capability to have a plan in between the practitioner and the citizen, and then you can also do self-care. So without a practitioner, you can start monitoring your own health and well-being. So ODA works as a distribution layer to all the national health services for, as we hope in the future, for healthcare, all healthcare centers. Right now, we have 2.1 million people in the footprint, but we hope for that to grow in the future. So the idea is that the data that the citizen has and the data that the professional or practitioner has is being shared on this layer of digital participation and also communication. So basically, the practitioner and the citizens share the same table, the same data, so they both are well informed of the service. So, of course, how to get people to use these services, a big challenge. We can force them that you don't get treatment if you don't log in, but to actually have people do self-care, we need customer-oriented user design, so user experience design to shift the paradigm to user-oriented healthcare services. Thanks. So, how does it happen? How do you do 40 pilots with a user-oriented design? We have each care path or treatment path has its own functionalities, and they follow the same microservices architecture, which is mostly reusable also for startups. So if you want to be the one who builds the 41st, that's possible. We even have some in this room who have already done that. So, for example, you can use the national logins, you can use the services that ODA is already using for decision making, and you can store your data in Omakanta, which was here shown previously. And when you have 40 or 140 of them, they start looking like this, that there's an ecosystem of small services, different parties take care of different parts, and then we have the national master data that we plug into as much as possible. So actually, it could be very quick for a startup to build their own component. So I'll be there in Omaolo stand answering your questions. And there's also people who have already used these services to build their startup, so I can hook you up with them to share experience as well.
Thank you, Jaakko. Wonderful. And please stay here, because we are going to have questions from the audience. It's now your turn. Ask the experts. You can inquire about the possibilities, challenges, and technical issues. So please welcome back up on the stage Teemu-Pekka, Aki, and Jaakko. And you can please step a little bit further on like this. And then I want to remind you that we have a message wall here in the front on your right-hand side. Your tweets will be shown there, but you can also send an SMS message and ask the experts if you want. The number is 12154. I repeat the number 12154. And remember to begin your message with soda slush. SOTESLUSH. But before we start, we will add 2 more experts to the group to answer your questions. Please welcome Jari Porrasmaa from the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health and Konstantin Hyppönen from the National Social Security Institution, Kela. And can you please step a little bit further on so all the experts have enough space on the stage. But now, let's go over to the audience. Who would like to go first? Anyone? Just raise your hand. You get your microphone. Over there we have one. Can you please give a microphone to... Oh, do we have only one microphone? Okay.
Hi.
So please, can you also present yourself? Who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Karita. I'm the CEO of a startup called Huoleti. So we have had some discussions with HUS and with Virtuaalisairaala, but it doesn't seem to be clear how we as a startup can provide a solution or application to Virtuaalisairaala. So is there a way or a process?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. So basically, we are also back there on our stand, and there is our guy, Sami Laakkonen, who is basically responsible for the innovation program. So basically, that would be the place to start. So basically, contact Sami first, and then we will guide forward there from there. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sami Laakkonen. Sami.
Please, Katarina. Katarina, can you take the microphone and walk over to everybody who needs it? Thank you. So, any more questions, please? Do you want to ask anything? When you are thinking about figuring out what you would like to know, I have a few questions about Kanta. What does it cost to join or use Kanta PHR? Does a startup have to pay for it?
Actually, I already mentioned it in my presentation. It's free. There is no cost, or I don't say there is no cost. Of course, you have to build your system to be able to join us, Kanta, but there is no cost storing information there or using it afterwards.
So remember, it's free. How can I earn by making an app compatible with Kanta PHR?
At least I can answer this. So basically, as I think that Visa, our chief innovation, okay, guys, so he mentioned it already. So basically, we are open to all kinds of business models. But what I suggest is that you kind of think of how to kind of get the users to be so interested that they're willing to pay for your services. So I think that the earning models most of the time would be creating such compelling services that the people are willing to pay for it. But in some certain circumstances, we can also make an agreement that, okay, we will pay for you based on the number of patients using it. But that is something that needs to be decided later.
Sounds great. I think we have one question from the message wall. Please.
Yes, there's one question from the message board. The question is, many healthcare professionals tend to be on the defense when it comes to trying new ideas. How do we turn this conservatism? So maybe this is a question maybe Visa can answer, or Oda and Virtual Hospital. How do the doctors feel about the new apps?
And please, may I have your attention? Just listen what they are answering.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a really interesting question. And in the project, we had the same problem because as a startup, you want to be user-oriented. You want to be customer-oriented. So how to build this? So we actually used lean startup methods in the project. So we started with almost 50 care paths that were designed through lean startup, and we created pull from the field, and then slowly we started having less. Now there's about 40 left that are like more valid, and then we're building them forward like we would do a startup. So with user-oriented design, we can make sure that there is value in that care path, and through this you also find a business model when you have a functioning care path. So it's not really, doesn't really differ from normal startup, but you have to have a methodology that you're implementing, otherwise there will be too many interests.
I'll say one word before I give it to Visa. So it's like, what we have in Virtual Hospital, we already have like over 1,000 professionals kind of creating these things for us. So there's basically, we have evidence that there is traction. It's not so hard.
Yeah, I don't think it's about the defense. Once you get the doctor or physician feeling that this might really help the patients, nobody can hold them. They're in fire after that.
Could I also say a few words about that, because I think it's a cultural change, and we have seen some cultural changes already. So we've seen before that doctors didn't like people to see their data in Omakanta. Now most of the doctors, they understand this, and most of the healthcare professionals, they see a lot of help in that.
So do we have more questions on the message wall? No, any questions from the audience? Just raise your hand and stand up. No questions. So, we have one. Yeah, here we go.
Hi, I'm Markus Kalle from Sitra. I would like to ask you, what do you think is the role of this government-based Sotedigi company when it relates to Kela PRH or then ODA or these new initiatives? Because if I'm a startup and I want to create some solution, I'd like to know that the government is not creating something similar at the same time, and they are creating this integration platform. So what is the role of that in the future compared to what we have today?
I would say that if there really is a startup companies that think that
Please, can you?
Yeah, if there is a startup companies here who think that you can't compete with this kind of old-fashioned governmental project, then maybe I'm in the wrong place.
Thank you.
I could also add that, for example, the stuff that we've been building in ODA will be kind of like part of the basis in Sotedigi. So as a startup in healthcare, there's quite high barrier that you have to reach compliance. So it makes sense for the government to provide a certain basic services that can be used in healthcare services. So you can reach compliance quicker, because the challenge when you're doing a startup is, when can I start shipping to my users? So Sotedigi will help you with that, so you can actually get started with your startup.
That sounds great, but who should startups contact if they want to move forward with this?
That's a difficult question, because actually we are just waiting for the information who is going to be the CEO of this Sotedigi company. There is nobody there yet to call. But I think currently, at least for me, call me.
Yeah, call Timo-Pekka. Thank you a lot for a very great discussion. I think we don't have any questions anymore. Oh, we have one, please. Janne.
Jonne, but that was really close.
Well, I almost see.
I would actually like to rephrase my question from before, where I asked about like healthcare doctors and usually healthcare professionals being really conservative about technology in general. Where I'm coming, so I'm representing IFMSA, which is the International Federation of Medical Students, so we represent 1.3 million medical students. So I kind of know where we are when it comes to medical students and innovation. So what I'm asking you is basically, as also was pointed out in the last question, so how can we actually create the bridges from healthcare professionals to the normal technology people and the ones who usually work in startups? Because I think in many cases, we talk about healthcare innovation, but there's not really discussion between healthcare professionals, and then we end up having a Theranos. So,
Who wants to answer?
Well, I'm not running a startup, so I can't kind of like give you a recipe for that. But what we have seen, and that those teams that have built something that works and is shippable are multidisciplinary teams. So you need to have both experienced people and enthusiastic people, young people, old people, but also clinical people and technical people, architects and coders. So you have to build a good and rather a small team to be able to communicate inside the team and start understanding each other's profession.
And also I think that the Finnish hospitals that are providing the test beds are very good, because there the startups work together with the doctors and also with the patients. So that's the best path.
And you should understand who is your customer, because we have this professional side, we have this personal side, and there are totally different rules how to proceed in these areas. So you should actually, first of all, make yourself clear who is your customer. Is it healthcare system, healthcare professionals, or is it citizens and wellness people?
Thank you, Timo-Pekka. And thank you all for a very informative discussion. I hope you a very good day. Further on, thank you, and thank you for the questions.